This is about as much smile as I can muster. It's tough to be the magician and the mechanic, people. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Stone Soup Poetry. This is the open mic. Next week, we should have a show, and we should have an announcement as to who the feature is. We have someone who was slated a while ago. They just got the date confused, so I'll be getting back to them, and hopefully, in the name of God, posting about something tomorrow. Thanks to everyone who made it back after last week's unexpected absences. Props to Jan, who's away from New York. That's the only excuse she has for not being here, but it's a good one. We're gonna get started and hopefully let this be the herald for better weeks and months to come in Boston and with the fall coming in general. Let's welcome up first, according to the Ramdonator 5000, our resident hard-boiled poet, Mr. John Wesick.
Oh, wow, it's me. Boy, that randomator really did go random, didn't it? Wow. Okay. Well, hey, since I think I've mentioned that I have the proof copy of my next poetry volume called The Shaman in the Library. And here's a poem called Decision Theory. And as you probably know, decision theory is a branch of mathematics used by the likes of John von Neumann to do things like, model the nuclear arms race and so on. I'm making a spreadsheet to decide whether to kill my dog. That big lumbering pile of fur is getting older, and damn it, it's time to run my household like a business. I score each of Dusty's features from -5 to +5, +5 being the best. Gazing up with adoring eyes, chin on paw and tail thumping the carpet, earns Dusty a +5, while drinking from the toilet or knocking over the trash and dragging used Kleenex into the living room moves him closer to oblivion. I'm in the middle of a computer simulation of future vet bills when Joan notices me in the monitor's blue glow. She just doesn't get it. I weighed each of Dusty's traits according to its importance to account for what I value. I'm not inhuman, after all. Why can't she see that the rigor of the binomial distribution and numbers, cool green rationality, deliver choices free of passion and prejudice? Besides, she's hosted a sloppier calculation between her ears for months. Eyes squinting and neck straining, I input the remaining data so fast the mouse jitters like a relativistic chihuahua at an espresso bar. The miracle of Moore's law tallies the weighted sum, and the results are terminal. Tail wagging and ignorant of the computer's verdict, Dusty drops a slobbery tennis ball at my feet and nudges my hand with his nose. How can a spreadsheet model loyalty or decency? You're safe, buddy. Thanks.
Thank you so much, John. Love that one. Let's wow, so who do we go to next? Oh yes, we go to the first of our phone participants. And let's welcome up Miss she's already unmuted and ready to go. Let's welcome up Miss Nancy Dodson. Yep, you press 6 to unmute yourself, Nancy. You were already unmuted. Nancy, you're muted. You need to unmute. Now you're unmuted.
Okay. The dancing bear. The dancing bear slowly lifts its feet to the bells the great giant dances. So beautiful is the bear's motion. How many electric shocks needed? He dances well to the music's beat. Lots of shocks were needed for dancing. Bears are so big they can strong, they can kill. Look at his paw, so big and mighty. One claw hit and you would be wounded. No, perhaps you'd be dead from the attack. Mr. Blair, keep your claws to yourself. The dancing bear is so magnificent. Yes, we love you in the distant view.
There need to be more dancing bear poems. Thank you, Nancy. Up next, I think he's raising his hand. Either that's an applause emoji, or he's raising his hand asking for permission to speak. I may regret this, but I'm going to give Bill the Ram, or I should say rather the Ramdonator 5000 is giving Mr. Bill Lewis the virtual podium.
You are refusing to take responsibility for your own action.
Oh,
Had
fucking
you not-
absolutely. Absolutely. What's your point?
You're the one who turned the Randomator on. If it weren't for you, I shouldn't have been chosen in an auspicious moment.
Are you in the bathroom again?
And you'll notice that I do not have permission to turn my video on because Mr. Meany there. Oh, now I can start my video, huh?
I didn't think me stopping your video disallowed you to put it back on. My bad.
Oh, I am hurt, struck to the core. Today was the first day of classes. I am so excited. I've got my computer science kids in and we're doing cool stuff. And we got the announcement for history classes at MIT later on I'll be doing. So I'm just all psyched and woo! Yes, there's nothing like little obnoxious kids in the world. Oh my God. I don't know if I told you that. I would have these, I would be substituting, and these kids in the classes I would be substituting, and they would laugh at me. I mean, I'm trying to get things done, and these kids are laughing at my efforts, and I would just get right in their little faces. You make me laugh one more time, you are in so much trouble. I'm going to tell the principal on you, and he is going to put you in detention, and it's going to go on your permanent record, and you're going to be in deep, deep doo-doo. And yeah, so you've got to let them know how things are. But that has nothing to do with whatever poetry I have, if it's poetry at all. Sweat and toil, aching arms and weary legs, the ringing of the harness hitting hard against the steel. Oh my God, I can't even see. Of wedges, crowbars, axes, the wood crackles, it bends against the nails, the screws, it pops, sending a cloud of dust and dirt, 100 years old, 100 years since Uncle Joe and his brothers and uncles and sisters built a refuge in the wilderness of the North. A tiny farmhouse, a tiny farm, a lifetime of labor and love. They're here, you know, watching, listening, watching their house be fixed and repaired again, nodding and laughing. Once loved and once respected, this fine house was sold as just a thing to serve as temporary whim, and sold again and again, neglected, unloved, uncared for, peeling paint, falling plaster, floors unwashed, unswept. Anything, just a thing, unneeded in the world of electricity and cars. Sad fallow fields overgrown by tansy, wildflowers, solitary stalks of wheat and hay, and the posts, the trash piles, carcasses, just a thing. Until now, till we came, till we met Robert and inquired of the past, its history, its creator, its family. Little Robert was just a boy when he helped his Uncle build the farm. A paradise, I tell you. A place of joy, excitement, and work, and always more work. Every year, I would sit with little Robert and listen to his tales. Little Robert now now 95 years old, can hardly walk without an oxygen tank. Little Robert, 95, reveling in the attention of me, talking about the old days. The cows, the hays, the horses, the plows, turning up there some clouds of dust 100 years before. Little Robert, Uncle Joe, brothers, sisters, cousins, all in heaven now, watching us rebuild their farm, watching us rebuild their love. Just as we savor the apples one day and the cherries the next, others will savor them when we leave them, the nuts and fruits that we plant today. Here's to you, Uncle Joe. Here's to you, little Robert. Here's to everyone who works with their hands, their soil, their hearts, their friends. Here's to you.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill. The Remdinator is choosing interesting combinations. I don't know if these two together back to back are going to be too crazy for the computer to handle, but we're introducing next Mr. Chris Fitzgerald.
So you can hear me?
Yep.
All right, this is Oscar Wilde thought Shakespeare was like a small town yokel, and once he got to London, he never picked up a pen again. This is about Polonius, one of the craziest characters anyone ever created. It's called Polonius. Above all, to thine own self be true. My ass, Polonius. Above all, if you go about creeping about spying for a two-bit pretender, make sure you have a weapon on you to defend yourself. All you had to do was stop Hamlet's first thrust, and he would have recognized you before any more movement. Polonius was Ophelia's and Laertes' father. Hamlet and the aforementioned three would all end up biting the big one because of Polonius's lack of a pithy saying about creeping about spying. Above all, stay away from shitty plays. Above all, be honest with the person across from you, and your creeping about days are over. And don't be surprised if you don't come up with new pithy sayings every other week. Above all, you gotta accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, and don't fuck with Mr. In Between. The first prejudice from which all others spring, 3 weeks ago. I'm in line at a coffee shop on the South Shore. 6-7-year-old girl comes running up, slightly bumping the display case. Her mother behind her 4 or 5 feet. Honey, be careful. I instantly say, talking about the porcelain cups on the rack, the first one breaks, they consider it an accident, half price. Any more than that, you got trouble. In fact, I was here 3-4 weeks ago. A guy moving too fast, just like you, bangs into the display case. 4 or 5 fall and break. $40, $50 damage. He doesn't have enough money to pay. Ends up getting 3 co-signers. 20 years ago, 2 would have been more than plenty. And like you, he only had 1 leg. The other was artificial. I don't know if it was war, car accident, fire, but he had to leave the fake leg till he paid what he owed. 6 or 7 days, I heard. So these people working here are smiling and happy. Don't test them. I laugh and think I'm going about my business. Get my coffee, sit down in a big comfy chair, start reading the Sunday Times. 5-10 minutes later, who's sitting at a 90-degree angle in their own comfort chair with mother and daughter, checking me out. I guess they weren't happy with their coffee line rows. I closely look at mother's face first time. Handsome, stunningly handsome. Can't believe she doesn't have a husband, boyfriend, lover, significant other, wife, someone telling that face every 30 minutes or so, keep up the good work. Maybe she does. And this is the last one. First off, I'd like to thank everybody who was involved in my Yellow Submarine sing-along last week. You were splendid. No, you were. Indeed, I had a hallelujah moment last Monday. As a few of you know, I've been trying to get a few works that I've read here published, but after last week's wonderful reception of my Beatles ditty, I will have to give serious consideration. I mean, if this poetry gig doesn't work out in 4 or 5 months, to apply into the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for the position of sing-along songmeister, county fairs, state parks. This land is your land. This song is your song from California. Everyone get along, get along. Oh, sure, I might know not all the words to many of the major hit songs now. Give me a little time and I wouldn't be surprised to hear remarks similar to the Chris Christopherson response when he first heard Janis Joplin sing the song Chris had wrote, Me and Bobby McGee. He said, that's her song now. Don't sit under the apple tree. That's his song. Do a diddy dum. That's his song. If you like Pina, back to the poetry. I shall read 4 short poems by my favorite poet, say the last 3,000 years. Wiesława Szymborska, a Polish woman I discovered 30 years ago, before she won the Nobel Prize in Literature. Not that more than a few shitheads have won that. I just liked her getting the money. She had a sharp and scintillating wit as Shaw, Twain, Flaubert. We're talking major belly laughs, brothers and sisters. She died 5 years ago at the age of 88. She was born in 1923, just outside Krakow, Poland, where she would spend most of her life. Poland from 45 to 89 was a commie pinko hangout. She was for 10 years or so a pinko commie. It didn't stick. She said her poems were about people and life. Her poetry was how she grabbed life by the throat. I think she was wonderful, full of wonder. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And now we go to tonight's legacy poet, Miss Julian Powers. May or may not come with special pug reading buddy.
Oh, she'll be here just a little bit. I am lost for words so often in the moment. I freeze, procrastinate, and hesitate. I struggle to organize thoughts. Written down, though, things can seem much more clear. When I speak, the words come out nervously and awkwardly, spoken with too much intensity. I rush the words out quickly and quietly, often trying then to minimize them and hurry them by. Many days, I look very deeply into the meanings behind exchanged words, still always fruitless. Writing is freedom from the pressure and confusion of not knowing what to say in the moment while I'm lost for words. Thank you.
Thank you. And coming up next, we have the man we call Magister Galt, who's got a job interview this Friday. So good luck to him.
Thank
Get
you
the
very
vibes
much.
out there if you're listening on the live feed on Facebook. Send the good vibes.
Thank you. This one is called A View from a Bridge. A view from a bridge. It was easy for my father to say it was only a dream. He wasn't there to see Jeremy's face bobbing in the water as it flowed down the river, looking up at me as I stared down from the bridge, unable for some reason to make a move, either to leave or save him. Down the
Everything?
road.
Oh, okay. We lost you for a second there, Ed.
Okay, I'm sorry. Where did you lose me? Let's see.
Or save him was the last I heard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
To make a move, either to leave or to save him, but it was too late to save him. All I could do was watch as his face slowly drifted down the river, still looking up at me with those dead but trusting eyes, asking me, Why? I simply stared into my cereal, toast, and juice, feeling sick. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. And let's see who we have here. Ah, yes. It's now the return of one of our beloved phone guests. I'm pressing the unmute button. And now she should be able to read as she pleases. Let's welcome up Carol Weston.
Ball of fire. I come a ball of fire into the house, and all the poodles come to lick my feet. Acorns warm and brown and gold in sun. It is my birthday when you break under my feet. I take my father's razor blades to bed. I love my father and the blood-stained sheets. Can I keep all my toys when I grow up? I'm going to gather all the forms of life. My questions block my mouth until I scream. I live inside the callus of my doubt. My head of wonder weighs too much to lift. I want to look in every human face. How far is it for me to turn?
Are you still there, Carol?
Oh yeah, I said thank you. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that part. Oh, okay. Anyway. All right, so who do we have next? Ah, yes. Ethan Mackler, he knows the score. He's figured out the Randinator 5000's algorithm. Let's have a musical interlude with returning Pulse of Stone Soup, Mr. Ethan Mackler. Thank you, Ethan. We'll come back to you, I'm sure. For now, we're going to end off the first round of the round robin with our Oddballs resident columnist, Thursday columnist. Check out It's All One Thing. It's been going on for, God, almost a decade now at oddballmagazine.com every Thursday morning at 11 o'clock. Let's welcome up Mr. James Van Looy. There you go.
I've got a poem here that I wrote with Jack back when we were working at the Faneuil Hall Flower Market, which was the glass house, which is right next to Faneuil Hall down in Quincy Market back in the early 1980s, 81, 82. And we used to, I worked a night shift and Jack would come in the morning and we would exchange poems. And so this is a poem I wrote to give to Jack. It actually was from a dream. It's called Outsider Theft. I ride my long lost Volkswagen Chariot down the great suburban highway to nowhere with my old dream buddy past the Marriott Motor Lodge, youth again in the enemy's lair. We're on the spy for the answer to eternal need and turn in at the oval of a rest stop haven where a tiny clapboard cottage goes to seed, looking out over the vista of skyscraper heaven. As we dismount our vehicle's double doors wide, the old colony complex blocks our view to the ocean. I don't know how people can be carried by the tide to live in such square dwellings stripped of emotion. We come to steal a few nubile plant cuttings that we can use to enliven my bare city walls and rip them from garden and flower box jutting out from the cottage face as neighbors make calls to tell the state police of our evil outsider theft. But by the time they arrive, we have already left. And here's an old song. I love you truly, truly, dear. Life's with its sorrow, life with its tear, fades into dreams when I feel you are near. For I love you truly, truly, dear. Very old song. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Loving it tonight. And now we're going to start round two. And who do we have first? Yes, going back to the Ramdonators' first choice, Hardball the poet himself. Look for his new book when he starts giving us the links, Mr. John Wezick.
Thanks. Yeah, there's that French phrase, l'esprit de l'escalier, the spirit of the stairs, which kind of means that you're at a party and you're leaving and you're walking down the stairs. And as you're walking down the stairs, you think of the comeback for that asshole who made that one comment. So anyway, l'esprit de l'escalier, I spelled it wrong the first time in the chat. It should end with an R instead of a T. Here's another poem from the proof copy called 25 Definitions of a Poem. Words from a mute's lips, a unicorn in a Prussian helmet, the testimony of a murdered man, drumsticks tapping empty space, cymbals crashing at the end of a line, an orange flaming in a young boy's hand. Antelope footprints on Diamond Mountain, the granite knees of a great nation, black Stetson on a white surfboard, and Orca, his dorsal cutting glass like water. Beowulf's broadsword, Ned Kelly's iron mask, steel stirrups on a gynecologist's table, Rebel yell, Politburo communique, the broken zipper on your lover's jeans. Wine from an empty bottle, dimples on a woman's hips, stinking cups of genocide, black and overflowing. A symphony in a bed of snapdragons, Rumi's column, Kabir's loom, the silence at the end of Om. Memoir of a childhood you never had. Thank you.
Can't wait to get a copy. Thank you, John. Up next, Nancy Dodson, time to unmute yourself. It's your second round. There you go.
Childhood. The room is so large. I am so little. People are bigger than I. Talking about my head. No one wants me to understand. We thoughts are in action. Eat everything on your plate. Be clean. Wear well. Clothes wear as well as manners. I want to grow up. Talk as well as listen. Communicate. Pieces without slaps. No yelling aloud. Silence. I must rest and sleep. I'm so tired. I sleep.
Thank you, Nancy. Who do we have next? Yes, we have Mr. Bill Lewis, who has my permission to continue using his video and to speak.
I thank you so much. That is so kind and generous of you, Chadford. It is amazing how many of the best poems in the world are written by druggies. I mean, I enjoy the occasional use of substances which were not previously legal, but to get hooked on these things and think you can write poetry is just a thing. I mean, this particular poem that I'm thinking of, the dude, he was like totally drugged out, and he come, you know, how you come up with all these ideas, you jump up and you start writing them down. And then something happens. And from Porlock, and everything goes to hell. So if you can tell from my reading of this poem, when the man from Porlock interrupted him, that will be exciting. So here we go. This is one of the poems that I just think is so beautiful. I just get into it reading it sometime and space out, and just like this dude, I mean, if you're gonna do opium, do it well. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure dome decree, or Alf the sacred river ran through chasms measureless to man down to a sunless sea. So twice 5 miles of fertile ground with walls and towers were girded round, and there were gardens bright with cinch-with rills, where blossomed many an incense-bearing tree, and here were forests ancient as the hills, enfolding sunny spots of greenery. But oh, that deep romantic chasm which slanted down the green hill athwart the thesan cover, a savage place, as holy as enchanted, as air was beneath a waning moon was haunted by woman wailing for her demoned lover. And from this chasm was ceaseless turmoil seething, as if this earth in thick fast breaths were breathing, a mighty fountain momentarily was forced, amid whose swift, half intermittent burst, huge fragments vaulted like rebounding hail, or chafty grain neath a thresher's flail. And midst these dancing rocks at once and ever, it flung up momentarily the sacred river. 5 miles meandering with amazing motion, through wood and dale the sacred river ran, then reached the caverns measureless to man, and sank in a tumult to a lifeless ocean. And mid this tumult Kubla heard from far ancestral voices prophesying war. The shadow of the dome of pleasure floated midway on the wave, where was heard with mingled measure from the fountain in the cave. It was a miracle of rare device, a sunny pleasure dome with caves of ice. A damsel with a dulcimer in a vision once I saw. It was an Obsidian maid, and on her dulcimer she played, singing from Mount Abora. Could I revive within me her symphony and song? To such delight would win me, what with music loud and long, that I should build that dome in air, that sunny dome, those caves of ice. And all who hear should see them there, and all should cry, beware, beware, his flashing eyes, his floating hair. Weave a circle round him thrice, and close your eyes with holy dread, for he on honeydew hath fed, and drunk the milk of paradise.
Thank you, Bill. Coming next, hopefully still in the parking lot of the Stop and Shop, because that's where the best reception is and where he lives. Let's have him on mute and get him to work for the second round, Mr. Chris Fitzgerald.
All right, so you can hear me. You can
Perfectly.
hear me?
Yep, perfectly.
Okay, okay. Just one piece. This is, I've done this one before. A brief intermission from our movies. My earliest acquaintance with the American Association of Smartasses and Ass Pains. 6th grade, Sister Ralph. I have mentioned her in an earlier piece entitled, There's Nothing You Can Name That Is Better Than a Dame, my grade school memoir. Now, on this particular day, I don't remember exactly what I did, but as I have admitted earlier, at the time, I wasn't yet 100% anti-wrongdoing. I can still hear Sister Ralph, her voice getting louder, more self-assured. Christopher! 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 That name. For those unfamiliar with Catholic history, Christopher means Christ bearer. St. Christopher was a man who lived in 3rd century AD. He lived in Asia Minor. Today it's called Turkey. His job was to ferry people across rivers and brooks. He was a big guy. You got on his shoulders and he carried you across so that you didn't drown or get too wet. Also in early Christianity, even as late as 19th century Russia, the child had 2 birthdays, the day he or she was born and the birth date of their saintly namesake. You had 2 days everyone had to act like they were happy to see you, instead of today's just one. Some Catholics refer to them as the good old days. Now back to Sister Ralph. Christopher, that name, whose job in ancient Asia Minor was carrying people across the river, and on this particular raw, rainy day, a young child had to get across. Christopher agreed. As soon as Christopher ran into the river with the child, something was amiss. Each step, the child seemed to get 10, 20 times heavier. Halfway across the river, it felt like to Christopher, he was carrying on his shoulders the weight of everyone in the world's problems. And that miraculously, what was going on? And when Christopher finally made it across and put the child down, he asked the child, "Who are you?" The child said, "I am Christ, your king. And the work you do is of beautiful service to me." And that's why St. Christopher is the patron saint of travelers around the world. And this is the behavior I get from you. I was just as enthralled as all my classmates by the story told in front of us. But as soon as she finished, I immediately responded, "I'm in absolute agreement on this one, sister. Absolute agreement. I too think the world would be a far nicer place if more parents named their child after such a wonderful person. But sister, I was named after my great uncle Chris, who wasn't really overly nice to anybody." No one laughed, just stunned silence. A week later, courtesy of the U.S. Postal System, I was notified that I was now a member of the American Academy of Smartasses and Ass Pains. Thank you.
And that membership is lifetime. Thank you, Chris. And up next, we go now to legacy poet Julianne Powers.
This is a Shel Silverstein poem. Nobody. Nobody loves me, nobody cares. Nobody picks me peaches and pears. Nobody offers me candy and cokes. Nobody listens and laughs at my jokes. Nobody helps when I get in a fight. Nobody does all my homework at night. Nobody misses me. Nobody cries. Nobody thinks I'm a wonderful guy. So if you ask me who's my best friend, in a whiz, I'll stand up and tell you that nobody is. But yesterday night, I got quite a scare. I woke up and nobody just wasn't there. I called out and reached out for nobody's hand in the darkness where nobody usually stands. Then I poked through the house, each cranny and nook, but I found somebody each place that I looked. I searched till I'm tired, and now with the dawn, there's no doubt about it, nobody's gone. Thanks.
Thank you, Julianne. And now we bring ourselves back to Mr. Magister Galt.
Okay, thank you. Now this one's called The Reprimand, and I published this one in Oddball magazine a little while ago, maybe 3 years ago or so. It's called The Reprimand. As Benny and I were putting our bikes away that late afternoon, 6 years ago, you came into the garage reprimanding us. You were very angry. Your face was contorted with blood vessels bulging out from your temples. I had never seen you so mad. You were yelling at your son, but you were looking at me too. Your eyes told me that you wanted to hit somebody, and you just might. Whatever you said, you were probably right. Okay, fine. But sir, that is all I can remember of you. That day, that face. Thank you very much. I think by now it's been about like 49 years since that time. I was probably 11 years old now, and now I was probably 11 years old back then, and I'm 60 now, so a lot further back, and really something when that's all you can remember of somebody 49 years later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. And now it's time to unmute Miss Carol of the Westons. Our Lady Queen of Stone Soup. It's your turn, ma'am.
Oh yeah, I need the phone number or address of no, I'm going to the CC Achagra. I can't seem to work the number he gave me. Anyway, so and I know he's not there, but anyway.
I'll see what I can do.
So this is called Beach. Beach, you are a mosaic of mortality and time. Fire, I rub my face in the hot sand you inhabited. Sea, you breathe with microscopic minds. Star, you are the possession of my eye. Sun, you are the ball I catch, and I am reaching for the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Up next, already unmuted, raring to go, Mr. Ethan Mackler with one more musical interest. Thank you.
And I'd like to mention that the Garage Poets should be playing this 17th as part of Brookline Porch Fest. If anyone is interested and you're in the Brookline area, 24 Stetson Street in Brookline. It's outside of Coolidge Corner. So September 17th at 24 Stetson Street, Brookline Porch Fest. You can check out the website, Porch Fest Brookline. So.
Sweet. Thanks so much, Ethan. And it looks like we got joined by someone just joined us. There was someone who was asking me during Ethan's playing if it was easy to get on the open mic, and it's actually very easy. Annette Tarpley, if you'd like to put your video on or not, but if you want to read, we actually do 2 round robins on regular all open mic weeks. We just finished ours. All of us had our turn, but if you want to go a little extra, welcome aboard.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to have to recite something by heart. I'm a rhymer. I've enjoyed the unrhyming stuff. I can do that every once in a while, but I have a propensity for rhyming. So my name is Annette Tarpley, and I live in Virginia. Right now I'm at work, so don't tell anybody. I'm just saying. So one of the poems I'd like to recite is one that I want to do a novel on. It's actually about bullying. It's called The Ballad of Ned. Long ago, and oh so far away, in the deep throes of the South, lived a man named Ned, a gentle soul, born with a deformity of the mouth. Through the years, it's been said that his mama sheltered him from harm. He grew up caring for the land and animals on an old country farm. Then the time came for him to go off to school, an atmosphere of unrest. His mama packed his lunch and walked him to the bus and whispered, "Mama loves you best." The children teased and taunted him. They were mean and downright cruel. He was bullied all day, but nothing was done. The school had no set rules. After school, he walked home alone, tears streaming down his face. When he finally got home, Mama wiped away his tears, greeting him with a warm embrace. She said, "Son, I declare I taught you better. I told you you're covered with armor. You're protected in blood. You're a child of God. You're not merely the son of a farmer." The next day, he went to school. He stood up taller, confident smile on his face. He went to the front of the class, approached the chalkboard, and the writings he began to erase. With the chalk, he wrote, "God is love. I am love. And my love I extend to you." Tears rushed down the teacher's face, streaming down the cheeks of students too. From that day forward, no one bullied the sweet young and disfigured Ned. He grew up with a life full of love and always remembered what his mother had said. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Annette. Good to have you on. I guess you have to disappear soon, shh, no one will tell. But before we do, let's at least hear our closing poet for the night. Check out oddballmagazine.com and check out his work every Thursday morning at 11 o'clock. His poem column is called "It's All One Thing." It's got a little bit of world history, Boston history, history of Boston poetry in particular, and so much more. Let's welcome up James right now.
Yes, so I got one of my Labyrinth poems here. This is one of the ones that I actually wrote this about an incident that happened with Bill Barnum. It's called Labyrinth as Speed. Outside, 2 days after the blizzard, it's snowing again. And someone says this second nor'easter has stalled and will snow all night so that we will set a new record for most snow in 1 month. The sextons have been promised they can go home 2 hours early like the rest of the staff. So we will be leaving at 7, not 8 p.m. However, at 6:30, I'm still the only person present and have already meditated as long as I can, done a whole litany of stretching and calisthenics, when lo and behold, there's little Bill tottering down the stairs from the dim back area of the stage saying, "I'm late." By the time he does his ritual clothes change and toddles to the bathroom and back again, there's just time to say, "This is Labyrinth as Speed," where we spin through the hairpin turns and glide down those long voluptuous curves that erupt in vistas of blur and leave us two forms aware of each other and somehow making a show in a performance whose audience is no one and everyone, and we are both so old and so young that the whole world spins in the whole universe, where the pattern that we walk together is the life that we live together, and the world we live together is the labyrinth we walk as one. And I have a quick song here. So long, sad times, go long, bad times. We are rid of you at last. Howdy, gay times, cloudy, gray times. You are now a thing of the past, 'cause happy days are here again. The skies above are clear again. Let us sing a song of cheer again. Happy days are here again. All together, shout it now. There's no one who could doubt it now. So let's tell the world about it now. Happy days are here again. Your cares and troubles are gone. There'll be no more from now on. days are here again. The skies above are clear again. So let's sing a song of
Song of cheer again.
happy
Happy
days
days
are
are
here
here
again.
Again.
Gotcha, Bill, huh?
Thank you, James. And thanks for everyone who came out tonight. Next week should be a live show. Because my girlfriend's still recovering from her knee injury, I don't feel comfortable being away, so I probably will not be there, but I'm going to be in contact with Dwayne at the gallery to make sure that there'll still be a show. I'm going to talk to the potential feature to make sure there'll still be a show. And we have to talk about the potential future. If my girlfriend doesn't require surgery, we can start talking about having more shows in October. If she does, well, we'll figure out what's going on, but I need to update him as soon as possible. But the online shows will continue after next week. There might even be a small chance of there being an online show and a live show next week, but more on that later. We'll see how it goes. And I thank all of you for coming out tonight. We're trying to get the show's notices out as early as possible now. It'd be great if I could get notice for the Thursday show out tomorrow. I do have the information from the feature. We just got to confirm the date that they really do know it's going to be this Wednesday and not Tuesday, and all that wonderful stuff. So more stuff coming, more people who've agreed to be features online. And I can't wait for that to happen again. And I'm so thankful for the cooler weather and that everything is going to be a little, might become a little easier in the weeks to come. Appreciate all your support, especially through these hot weeks. Oh, and thanks to Julian for bringing a pug and for the final wave. Aw, she makes you want to wave. You can wave goodbye, or you can wave to the pug. So we do the video wave, and it looks good for a still photo, trust me. But and thanks to Annette for coming to join us. Please come by next week. We'd love, or come by next time we have an online show. We would love to have you. And just keep on join the Stone Soup Poetry Facebook group, and stay tuned for more news, more publishing opportunities, and what have you. And that's all I gotta say tonight. Thanks for your patience, especially since we started late. And dog alert indeed, John. And take care of yourselves, take care of somebody else, and have a good night.
Night, everybody.
Or
Take
if you're
care.
Annette, get back to work. The show's over. See you next time.
Good night.
See you soon.
Bye.